So we've got 3 roosters here on the pretend farm. Y'all know that. That is Midnight saying good morning. That's Bucky that just came flopping out there to say hello. I'm not sure what Colonel Sanders is doing. That was Bucky, that's not Colonel Sanders. What is he doing? Colonel Sanders! Come on, Colonel. Here, Colonel. Colonel Sanders, he really likes to sleep in. All right, fine, let's go get him. There's the Colonel. He's like, why do I need to come down? I got all my ladies up here with me. Everybody else, all the other roosters are up and you're still here. Uh-oh. Here it comes. He's gonna do it. Oh, wow. Okay, he did. Anything else Colonel wants to say this morning? There it is. There's the Colonel. You know, one of the biggest misconceptions about roosters is they'll cock-a-doodle-doo just before the sun rises. People think of a rooster kind of like an old-timey alarm clock. They're letting you know it's time to wake up, the day's about to start. And roosters really do that, you know. A rooster just has a biological instinct to crow as it's about to become daylight. And he knows from the time that he flops up on his roost bar at night how many hours it's going to be till morning. So even if he's in a dark coop and he can't tell it's starting to get light outside, he's still going to fire up and crow. Sometimes maybe even at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. That's just the thing with roosters. A rooster can crow 24 hours a day. And while they don't often make much noise in the middle of the night, I have been out and heard my roosters crow at say 2 a.m. or 3 in the morning, really oddball times. If you have a rooster, you've probably noticed a lot of times he'll flap his wings and it may seem really random. Actually, what a rooster is doing when he does that is he's usually trying to pump his chest full of air so that he can let out the biggest, loudest cock-a-doodle-doo ever. The roosters don't just have that instinct to crow at daylight. They'll crow all throughout the day while they're around the yard foraging or in the run as well. Now, Pretend Farmer did some reading on the internet. A lot of the stuff I found said that roosters will crow when they feel like their territory is threatened. I've also read stuff that says roosters will crow when they need something. When they're out of food or water, they'll crow because they're unhappy with their conditions. I don't really feel like that's very accurate. I don't feel like my roosters have ever really lacked for anything, but I don't think that's the reason they crow. You know, what I've observed is if your rooster is crowing, it means you have a happy, healthy rooster. In fact, a rooster that's silent, oftentimes there's something wrong with that rooster. He might be sick or something. Because the only time a rooster really shuts up is when they don't feel good. Now, of course, you can put a no-crow collar on a rooster, which basically chokes off his vocals and doesn't allow him to crow. We don't use those here because I enjoy listening to my roosters, and there's nobody around to complain. Now, here on the Pretend Farm, we got 3 roosters. So a lot of times what happens is each rooster will take his little group of hens and they'll go separate ways. And you'll hear one rooster fire up during the day and crow, and then it'll be immediately followed by the next one and the next one. Honestly, I think part of the reason they do this is just as a simple locator. Everybody's letting everybody else know where they're at. Can you imagine sleeping with your windows open and then that big thing comes flopping in doing that? The main reason a rooster will fire up and crow during the middle of the day is just a territorial thing. He's saying, this is my space, don't invade my turf. So some of you might be wondering, well, what's life like with 3 roosters living under the same roof, sharing the same space all the time? We've done a video before on keeping 2 roosters together with the same flock. We've got Midnight now, which is our 3rd rooster. He's not fully mature yet, but he's what I would consider an adult rooster at this point. So we've had all these 3 roosters living here all summer on the pretend farm, and here's how it's going. The key here is we've got plenty of hens so that all of the boys, they're satisfied. They don't fight over the ladies. Look, oh my goodness, look there. The chase is on. Okay, now, yeah, okay. There's plenty of hens here for everybody. You know, Midnight, Colonel Sanders, Bucky. Each one of them has about 9 or 10 hens to themselves. You know, really a rooster's main purpose is to fertilize the eggs and to offer kind of like protection for the flock. He's like the flock leader. So in the case that you've got 3 roosters like we do here, the key is you need to make sure there's enough hens that they can all do their fertilizing job and not feel like they're being shortchanged. And as far as the leadership thing goes, there's really no fighting over that because the pecking order has been established. Bucky knows he is the head rooster in control, followed up by Colonel Sanders, and then at the very bottom of the rooster chain is our Australorp Midnight. He knows his place, he's careful, he steps lightly, and he doesn't act like too much of a rooster unless Bucky's going the other direction. At which point he knows he can get by with a little bit more, but he just has to keep himself in check constantly. None of my roosters are bloodied up though. You can tell they're all very healthy looking. They haven't been fighting. There's no blood. And if you want to talk about a set of wattles, I have never seen wattles like this Australorp has. He's got the biggest, reddest set of wattles under his chin I've ever seen on a chicken. And yet they're in perfect condition. If they were fighting, that's one of the first things that would get pecked at and bloodied up is his big wattles. His feathers, none of them have been pulled or ripped out. His comb is nice and bright red. That is a healthy rooster right there, and a very handsome rooster as well. Oh, there he's doing his job. And there Bucky's running him off because he's saying, okay, not in front of me, you're not. That's as dramatic as things get here on the pretend farm. There's no fighting, there's no plucking, just some subtle, gentle reminders of who's in charge here. And Bucky is in charge. So now you pretty much know there's a lot more to a rooster crowing than just at sunrise. Our roosters crow all day long here on the pretend farm. We like to hear it. And if you don't like to hear it, I suggest you probably don't get a rooster, because you're not going to have a rooster and not realize you have a rooster. They make themselves known all day long, sometimes even throughout the night. If you have a rooster that crows at an oddball time and you think it's due to a particular reason, leave a comment and let us know. I'm a firm believer there's a lot of reasons why roosters crow, and I don't think they need much of an excuse at all. Till next time, this is the Pretend Farmer, signing out.